I had a client move here in May, so excited for her first Colorado summer. And by July, she was calling me a little overwhelmed because nothing about it was what she expected. Not in a bad way, necessarily, just completely different. My name is Jessica Cheriton, and I'm a Chaffee County real estate agent. Welcome to my YouTube channel. If you are new here, this is where I talk about what it's like to live, move, buy, sell, and invest in Salida, Buena Vista, Poncha Springs, Nathrop, and throughout Chaffee County. Today, I want to talk about summer here because I think people move to Salida with this picture in their head of mountains, the river, the sunshine, and that picture isn't wrong, but it is incomplete. There's a version of summer here that only locals can truly understand, and I kind of wish every client got this conversation before their moving truck showed up. Let's start with the thing that surprises almost everybody, and that's the sun. Why would the sun be surprising? But we sit at over 7,000 feet here, and at that elevation, the sun truly hits differently. I'll be honest, I've had clients move from places where they spent their whole lives outside without a second thought, and within their first few weeks here, they are burnt to a crisp, dealing with sunburn that they didn't expect, because the intensity at this altitude is nothing like it is at sea level. And this is something that I try to tell people. Sunscreen is not optional in the Colorado mountains. Even on a mild, cloudy looking day, the UV exposure is very real, and it can sneak up on people who aren't used to it. Here's where people get surprised in another direction. Despite that intense daytime sun, our evenings cool off very fast, and you will still maybe even need like a puffer jacket, at least a sweatshirt. And that's something I even have to still explain to my own kids who have grown up in Colorado. The second the sun starts going down, the temperature drops here, and the places where they've moved from, it stays warm all night. And I always tell people to keep jackets or sweatshirts around all summer. I keep them in the car for my kids, even in July, because a warm afternoon can turn into a chilly evening faster than you would expect. Not only a chilly evening, sometimes a chilly afternoon when we get monsoon season and the rainstorms roll through. Another thing related to that is air conditioning, or the lack of it. A lot of homes here, especially the older homes downtown, were not built with central air conditioning because for most of the year, you don't need it. You really only need it like maybe 2 weeks out of the whole year. And that surprises buyers coming from warmer states almost more than anything else. I tell people to not assume that a home needs AC just because it maybe they were used to it where they came from. With the cool evenings and the low humidity, you are really fine just opening the windows at night and then closing them during the hot part of the day and keeping the blinds closed. We do solar blinds, and that helps keep the heat out. It's just a different rhythm than what people are used to. But when you settle into it, I think most people genuinely prefer it. So let's talk about the river in the summer, because this is such a defining part of summer life here. It changes throughout the season, and that might be unexpected for people too. In early summer, when the snow is melting off of the mountains, the Arkansas River is running really high and fast, and it can be super scary. But this is peak rafting season, and it's one of the things Salida is best known for, like our Fib Arc event. But it can surprise people that the river isn't just scenery. It genuinely shapes the rhythm of the whole town, especially in that busy early summer. Downtown is busier every day. Rafting companies are in full swing. We have their employees in town that aren't always there all year round. The whole feeling is completely different as opposed to the fall, when it can be calm and quiet before ski season. And as summer goes on and the water levels drop, as the snowmelt tapers off, the feel of the river shifts and it can become calmer, more relaxed, more suited for like paddleboarding or tubing rather than that white water. And I always tell clients moving here in the spring to not judge your experience of the river by one single month or even season, because it changes all throughout the year. And another thing that catches people off guard, and this is something that I bring up with clients who are new to mountain living, those thunderstorms I mentioned earlier, they can come really fast and suddenly. And that's part of what we call the monsoon season. And it shows up usually late July through August. So it can be clear, bluebird sky, beautiful in the morning. And by early afternoon, you see the clouds like building over the mountains, and it can get crazy really fast. Then clears right back up sometimes for the evening. So I tell people all the time, if you're planning an outdoor activity, and the rescue teams will tell you this too, hiking, biking, anything outside in the mountains, you need to do it in the morning before those afternoon storms roll in, because it can get really dangerous. Now, connected to that, the serious issue is wildfire season. So before those summer storms really settle in, there's often a good stretch in June and July where things are super dry and the wildfire risk is very high. And this is something everyone new here needs to understand, not just as like background noise, but it affects what you do with your property, what you do on your property, and things like defensible space around your home become really important because you need to understand where you're at risk for fire coming onto your property and even burning up your home. And be aware of fire restrictions, stage 1, stage 2. Right now, we're in stage 2 in Chaffee County. And this is not meant to scare you away from mountain living, but you need to be an informed homeowner and collaborative community member instead of the one that's the problem. Let's move to something lighter for a minute. Wildfire is like a really serious topic, but there are fun things too. Salida gets busy in the summer. Tourism in our area picks up significantly downtown. The restaurants are super busy and parking is a pain. And F Street is closed, so there's even less parking. I always tell people that riding their bike or walking is a little more fun in the summer. And it's fun because you don't have to look for parking. You might not have that quiet small town solitude that you used to have a lot of other days, but it's worth knowing that going in and being like mentally prepared for it so it doesn't catch you off guard. I know a lot of locals that leave town on the big festival weekend. I had another client that moved here specifically because he wanted peace and quiet, and his first summer here downtown was so packed and the river was so loud. He called me like confused because he felt like he moved to a different town than the one he had visited in October. And I just told him that's genuinely part of the summer rhythm here. He ended up selling and moving out further into Howard, which is much more quiet year round. And once he got out there, he was a lot happier, but he loves the river and he loves the area. And now I think he knows what to expect all the time in every season of our area. Gardening can be another thing that's a summer activity that surprises people coming from longer growing seasons. Our growing season here is so short, you really do need a greenhouse. And thanks to the elevation and the risk of late and early frost, you watch Methodist Mountain, and when the snow is melted off Methodist, then it is safe to plant. And if the snow is not melted off Methodist, even into late May, early June, you don't want to plant. We do lean heavily on raised beds. Just the soil here is super rocky, so amending those raised beds are a lot easier. There's some great local businesses that can help you with that. Send me a comment and I'm happy to recommend them. One more practical thing worth mentioning because it matters more than people might think. If you are on a well here, which is a lot of properties outside of city limits, summer is when water usage really matters. So between watering your plants and trees and having people visit your house, well output becomes something that you might need to pay attention to. When you are looking at a well property, you want to understand the well's actual output, if it needs to be supported by cisterns and more than just a water pressure storage tank. In a hot, dry summer, it might be something you need to know about. So here's what I really want you to take away from all of this is that your first Salida summer will be beautiful. It's genuinely one of the best times to be in Chaffee County, but it's also maybe going to surprise you in ways that have nothing to do with how gorgeous the mountains are. The sun will be strong, the evenings will be cool, the river changes throughout all of those months. The storms can roll in fast and furiously and be dangerous. The town is busier. There is a risk of smoky air and wildfire. These are not all bad things. It's just the reality. And I would like you to hear it from me rather than be surprised by it come June, July, and August. So if you stuck around till now, one of my favorite things to do is give you a weekly piece of Colorado real estate advice. If you are buying a home here and you're not from a high elevation, dry climate, high desert area, please ask specifically how the home handles summer heat without air conditioning. Ask about the well output. Those two questions alone will tell you more about how comfortable your first summer will be in that home than anything else on the listing. Thanks for watching. If you love Salida like I do, and if you enjoy celebrating this community and its culture, outdoor recreation, and learning about Colorado real estate, and you want to know more about all of these lovely mountain homes, this channel is for you. Subscribe and follow along, and I will see you next time.